Good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to the Royal College of Surgeons of England today. Particularly warm welcome to those of you who may be visiting our building for the first time. We're very proud of this new building, which reopened in July 2021 after a major refurbishment. And also welcome to those of you joining us online, wherever you may be. You're all extremely welcome today. Today is a day of celebration where we celebrate the achievements of our diplomats, and it really is a very significant achievement. I'm sure that you will look back on your achievement in passing the exam and today, the award of your exam certificates and other awards with great pride, as you should. And it's fantastic that you're here to celebrate those achievements with your friends, families and supporters. And for those of us here on the stage, it's a great delight to be part of that celebration. And we love to see the building full of people with happy, smiling faces. We know that you didn't always have happy, smiling faces when you were coming to do the exams, but that's another story. We're also delighted to be awarding an honorary fellowship today to Dr. Mark Slack, and we'll hear more about him later. But an honorary fellowship at this college is the highest award that we confer, and he's certainly worthy of that. You can see on the screen behind me, the screens behind me and those further down the room, a photograph of the Holbein painting down in the main atrium, which was painted in 1543 to recognise and celebrate the award of the Royal Charter by Henry VIII to Thomas Vicary to create the Company of Barber Surgeons, of which Thomas Vicary was the first master. So we can trace our history back to 1540, and in fact there was a company of surgeons before that which came together with the barbers to create the barber surgeons. And indeed, although the barbers and the surgeons went their separate ways later on, we retain good relations with the Worshipful Company of Barbers. And indeed, a number of our college members are members of both organisations. Downstairs in the main hall, you will also have seen the statue of John Hunter, who many of you will wish to have your photograph taken with today. He is regarded as being the father of modern surgery. He was an anatomist and a surgeon, but he really was one of the first people to apply intellectual rigour to the process of surgery, which of course was a very different prospect then to what it is now. But he was meticulous in recording in his casebooks the symptoms and signs of surgical diseases. He was an inveterate collector of a whole range of artifacts, and he collected around 14,000 specimens in his life, which he kept in his two houses, his city house in Covent Garden and what he thought of as his country house all the way out in Earl's Court. The house in Earl's Court had lions and leopards in the garden, which alarmed the neighbours sometimes, particularly if they escaped. But there were other specimens. He had a stuffed giraffe in his house in Covent Garden, famously, and a whole range of other specimens. Sadly, about 2/3 of those specimens were destroyed when the college had a direct hit from a bomb in the Second World War. But 4,000 of those specimens are still in existence, and the Hunter Museum downstairs on the ground floor has about 3,000 on display, and I would encourage you to go into the Hunter Museum if you have chance today, or to come back on another occasion. It really is a fantastic display of the history of John Hunter and his life, but also the history of surgery. And whilst I've alluded to our history, of course, we very much look to the future. And as you come through that museum, you will see, very appropriately today with Dr. Mark Slack here, a CMR robot. And of course, that very much looks to the future and how technology will influence all that you do during your surgical lives. And we are, as a college, committed to supporting that involvement of technology to improve the care of surgical patients. As you came in, certainly if you came in from the back entrance, if you looked up on the first floor outside the library, you will have seen a series of paintings of prominent female surgeons. And one of the other big drives that I hope you'll be aware of is the desire of the college to make sure that we look at diversity, equity and inclusion within the college, but also within the wider surgical profession, and recognise that there's still a long way to go with that, but we want everybody who wishes to pursue a career in surgery to have the opportunity to do so. We know it's been a particularly difficult time in the medical profession and particularly in surgery over the last few years. It seems remarkable now that it's 5 years since the COVID pandemic came along and had that most dramatic impact on all our personal and professional lives. And we know that you as surgical trainees early in your careers very much took the brunt of that. Many of you were redeployed to other services within the hospital. We know that elective surgery largely stopped, and therefore the opportunities that you've had in terms of surgical training were significantly affected and unfortunately have not yet returned to those pre-pandemic levels. And we're absolutely committed to make sure that you have the opportunities to get the best possible surgical training that you can. And we will be contributing to the process of the review of medical, in the wider sense, training, but specifically surgical training that's recently been started. But I can tell you that despite all the difficulties, you will have a fantastic career ahead of you. I work as an ear, nose and throat surgeon, specifically as an ear surgeon, putting cochlear implants, electronic devices into the inner ear to restore hearing to people who are profoundly deaf. And that is an extraordinary privilege. Not only to do that as a surgeon, but to work together with other professionals as part of a team to have a huge impact upon other people's lives, as you will have in your careers. The college here will be here to support you along the way throughout your careers. I very much hope that you will keep regular contact with us. I hope that you will come and visit us in our fantastic building here, take advantage of the facilities, take advantage of the Members and Fellows Lounge down on the ground floor. And I hope you will want to contribute to all the many things that the college does to support surgeons, the surgical profession, but most of all, surgical patients. So enjoy today, enjoy the celebration with your friends and families, and we are very much delighted to be part of your day with you today. So thank you. We now move on to the most important part of our ceremony this afternoon, which is the award of an honorary fellowship, and Vice Presidents, please. And I'll now invite Miss Ginny Bobrick, Council Member, to read the citation, please.
Thank you. President, members of Council, members of the Court, members, fellows and guests. It is my pleasure to present Dr. Mark Slack to you today. Dr. Mark Slack is a co-founder and Chief Medical Officer of CMR Surgical, which developed a surgical robot called RCS, with the aim that it would make it easier for surgeons to adopt surgical robots into their practice, and with the patient at the centre of every decision made in its development. CMR is now the second largest soft tissue robotic company in the world. He is today accompanied by his wife Helen, who herself is a consultant in gynecological oncology surgery. Rewinding back to the beginning of Dr. Slack's journey though. He qualified as a doctor at the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa and completed his postgraduate training at the University of Cape Town and Groote Schuur Hospital. He graduated from the College of Medicine of South Africa in gynecology, winning the Daubenton Gold Medal for the most distinguished candidate in the country. He then moved to the UK to complete his surgical training in Liverpool before becoming a consultant gynecologist at Hinchingbrook Hospital in 1994. This was followed by appointment as a consultant gynaecologist at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge from 2001 to 2018, where he was the head of gynaecology and urogynecology. He also runs an active research unit in Cambridge, where he continues as an associate lecturer at the University of Cambridge. Dr. Slack developed and introduced sacrospinous fixation to the UK, which is a surgical procedure to repair vaginal vault prolapse by attaching stitches between the vault and the ligaments at the back of the pelvis. It is now the most commonly performed procedure for prolapse in this country, with a stated long-term cure rate of over 80%, undoubtedly transforming the quality of life of many, many women. Dr. Slack has published over 100 peer-reviewed papers, more than 25 book chapters, and is a regular contributor on national radio and TV. In 2015, the National Institute for Health and Care Research recognised Dr. Slack as one of the leading researchers in the UK for clinical research. Under his leadership, the Urogynecological Unit in Cambridge achieved the highest accreditation score ever awarded by the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in 2018. In 2021, he was awarded an honorary fellowship from the Royal College of Surgeons and Physicians of Glasgow and the French Academy of Surgeons. So we are delighted to be able to add an honorary fellowship from the Royal College of Surgeons of England to his growing collection. He is described as passionate about innovation and has said that he was inspired by his mentor, Alf Umsten, Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Uppsala University in Sweden, to get involved in the business and entrepreneurial side. In an interview in 2012, he described how he has taken many ideas from the drawing board to production, but also admitted that it hasn't always been easy. However, he went on to describe medical innovation as one of the most exciting and rewarding aspects of his work. I would like to finish this citation with some of Dr. Slack's own words when asked what advice he would give to budding doctor entrepreneurs, and I think that it's applicable to all of us, entrepreneur or not. He said, "Don't be scared, no matter how wild or impossible your idea seems. When working with the appropriate team, impossible ideas are often easier to achieve than one realises." President, I present to you for admission as an honorary fellow of the college, Dr. Mark Slack.
Dr. Mark Slack, by the authority of Council and by virtue of the powers vested in me as President of the Royal College of Surgeons of England, gives me the greatest pleasure to admit you to the College as an honorary fellow. Many, many congratulations.
Thank you.
Vice Presidents, please. We now have another very important award to give this afternoon, which is the Lady Cade Medal. And Vice Presidents, please. I'm going to invite Colonel Professor Linda Orr to introduce the award, please. Thank you.
The Lady Cade Medal. This medal was founded in 1953 by Sir Stanford Cade, CBE, CB, FRCS, who was a council member from 1949 to 1965 in memory of his late wife. The medal is awarded annually by the Council on the advice of the Director General of the Royal Air Force Medical Services. It is awarded to the medical officer who has, to a degree which is considered worthy of recognition, brought about an advance in any branch of medical science in its application to the service of the RAF, or has contributed to any improvement in any matter affecting the health or living conditions of Air Force personnel. President, I present to you for the Lady Cade Medal recipient, Wing Commander Johnny Hines.
Wing Commander Hines, by the authority of Council by virtue of the powers vested in me as President of the Royal College of Surgeons of England, it gives me great pleasure to award you the Lady Cade Medal. Many, many congratulations. Vice President, please. Thank you. So we now come on to the main part of the ceremony. There's a little bit of stage management to be done as my colleagues leave the stage to bring up the diplomates for their awards, which is my opportunity just to ad lib for a moment. I'm going to tell you a story which some of my colleagues will have heard before. But it was brought home to me quite how important these days are when I travelled up to Glasgow a little time ago for a meeting of the 4 surgical royal colleges. As you all know, the 4 colleges oversee examinations together, their intercollegiate exams, and oversight of training. And I flew up to Glasgow by plane and was travelling from the airport to the centre of town, which is most conveniently done by bus. Was sitting on the top floor of the bus, minding my own business, checking my emails on my phone, when suddenly I was aware of this young man standing next to me. And he turned to me and he said, "Professor," which is a very good start because I'm not a professor, "can I have a selfie?" And I was sitting at the table, I looked at the woman across from me, and I said, "I'm really not a celebrity, honestly." Then he turned his phone round, and there was he standing on the stage here, next to me with my gown as I am today, receiving his MRCS certificate just 2 weeks earlier. At this point, 2 other young men had appeared, and they introduced themselves, and we'd now got to the centre of Glasgow, so we'd better get off the bus. And yes, you can have the photograph. And he explained to me that obviously he had the MRCS certificate, but these 3 young men were from the same town in Pakistan. They'd known each other for a long time. And he'd sat his exam and got his certificate here. They were sitting the exam in Glasgow, and he had gone to offer them moral support whilst they were there sitting the exam. But it was just a demonstration of really how important a day like today and the significance of those examinations really can be. The only disappointing part of the story is that sadly I don't have a copy of the photograph, but there we are. Perhaps I'll bump into him again on another bus on another occasion, you never know. So it looks as though we're now ready to get on with the rest of the ceremony, so we'll hand over to our Acting Chief Executive, Jackie Weller, please.
President, I present to you Research Fellows.
Alexandra Macmillan. Olivia O'Malley.
President, I present to you Senior Clinical Fellows.
Alison Bradley. Si Ying Hay. Evgeny Ryvinsky. Sorry. Quite right.
President, I present to you successful fellows at an intercollegiate specialty examination, a fellow in cardiothoracic surgery.
Say it again. Evgeny Ryvinsky.
President, I present to you fellows in general surgery.
Alfred Adiyama. Kazi Taslima Ahmed. Takshini Bhuvana Krishna. Pakanan Chaichanan Beachkid. Natasha Elisa Jiwa.
President, I present to you fellows in neurosurgery.
Amut Hosma. Piers Andrew William Thomas. Jason Wing Hong Yearn.
President, I present to you a fellow in oral and maxillofacial surgery.
Zachary Philip Leslie Cole Healy. Peter Edward van den Bosch.
President, I present to you fellows in otolaryngology.
Sheikha Munira Abdullah Muhammad Hamoud Al Khalifa. Claire Perkins. Thomas Stubington.
President, I present to you fellows in paediatric surgery.
Benjamin John O'Sullivan. Naomi Jane Wright.
President, I present to you fellows in plastic surgery.
Farhan Ahmed Itazes. Ifan Ali Jumaboy bin Anwar Ali. Agatha Marta Plonchak. Pratyush Singh. Ithinza Win.
President, I present to you Fellows in Trauma and Orthopedic Surgery.
Luke Harrison Granger. Fawad Mohammed. Sidlinga Swami Sanjay Mysore. Portia Ross.
President, I present to you Fellows in Urology.
Omar El Sandobi. Sinan Kadori. Elisa Vieta Pek Akra. Rahul Sunny.
President, I present to you a Fellow in Vascular Surgery.
Imad Mohammed Al Arif.
President, I present to you successful candidates at the recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons. Diplomates from Ain Shams University, Egypt, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Dnipro State Medical University, Ukraine, Kyiv Medical University, Ukraine, Luhansk State Medical University, Ukraine, National Rabat University, Sudan, University of Bristol, University of Lagos, Nigeria.
Dua Allah Ibrahim Ahmed Abdul Nabi. Kumina Ansar Amamu. Nakish Bundari. Mohammed El Fadu. Belmin BJ Winston Geisler. Emily London. Joshua Lorimer. Mai Mahmood. Sheila Morins. Yegor Trilisky.
President, I present to you diplomates from Alexandria University, Egypt, Guy's, King's and Thomas's School of Medical Education, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Medical College, India, Queen's University, Belfast, Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University, India, the University of Aberdeen, University of Birmingham, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, University of Warwick, and Ziauddin University, Pakistan.
Alistair Chambers. Sarah Kelly. Tariq Hani Hassan Mohammed. Nazim Mughal. Joanna Ochukwu. Lokesh Purglendi. Rahima Rice Khan. Priska Singh. Ming Sai. Christopher Wall. Katerina Sophia Weigel. Jonathan Tababu Rubetu.
President, I present to you diplomates from Al-Mustansiriya University, Iraq, Delhi University, India, Imperial College, London, Medical College, Baroda, India, Mekatar Hiratsi, Yerevan State Medical University, Armenia, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science, India, St. George's University of London, University of Cambridge, University of the Gambia, and Yarmouk University, Jordan.
Asala Ahmed. Rishi Banerjee. Abdul Basit. Pashuput Bernada. Kaustub Chauhan. Lydia Dean. Jonathan Harnayak. Ndombe Mane. Arvin Philip. Farah Haratun Atranik Tosania.
President, I present to you diplomates from Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, India, Brighton and Sussex Medical School, Dr. NTR University of Health Sciences, India, Guru Gobind Singh Medical College, India, Newcastle University, New Giza University, Egypt, Queen Mary University of London, R.G. Carr Medical College and Hospital, India, University of Liverpool, University of Malta, University of Oxford, University of Suleimani, Iraq.
Grace Chaplin. Marta de Andreos Crespo. Shalini Devueda. Subhadeep Ghosh. Savleen Kaur. Kano Abdul Razak Hasnadar. Georgina Liu. Ashwati Krishnan Rajiv. Alexander Rula. Peter Shiberas.
President, I present to you a successful candidate in recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons via ENT route.
Happy Poulsen.
President, I present to you diplomates in absentia.
Ahmed Mahmood Aldakam. Santosh Kumar Sampegre Aniyappa. Shankar Balasubramanian. Kian Harrington. Marco Petrish. Antonio Klazan. Ayman Mohammed Ahmed Abdulghaffar. Mohammed Abdulatif Tag Elden Ahmed. Manhal Efadil Siad Ahmed. Abdurrahman Aladan. Malak Sabra Abdel Mala Isi. Michaela Faruja. Atosa Kithriotu. Manaji Manugesu. Habilan John Nathan. Uchi Francis Odoza. Enoch O'Toole. Spencer Probert. Mohammed Hassanin Atia Ahmed Shweya. Wen Long Paul Yun.
So that brings us to the end of the awards, but not quite the end of the congratulations, I think. I think in recognition of the great achievements of the diplomats, I'm sure that your friends, families and supporters will want to recognise that one more time. So I'd like everyone on this side and those at the back, please, to stand up. And one long, big round of applause for our diplomates, please. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. And diplomats, I'm sure you will recognise that your achievements based on your hard work could not have happened without the support that you've had along the way from your friends, family and supporters. Certainly emotional support, maybe even some financial support along the way. So if I can invite you to stand up, please, and applaud your family, friends and supporters. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm now going to invite our newest honorary fellow, Dr. Mark Slack, to come to the stage, please, to give an address to the diplomats. Thank you.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, most especially the new diplomats, it is indeed an enormous honor for me to get this fellowship and certainly one of the highlights of my career. I'm delighted to receive it and thank you for the recognition. I hope it is deserved, especially considering the conflict the Council must have had in awarding a surgical fellowship to a gynecologist. Congratulations to the diplomats. What an achievement, what a great point in your career, and so much you've done to get there. I too must also extend my congratulations to your families and friends who probably had a slightly more torrid time than you in getting to this point in your journey. You stand at a crossroads in your career with still so much ahead of you. Some will progress onto routine clinical practice, others will go into research, medical technology, or even into business. It's a very interesting time for our profession, and surgery in particular. We live in a time that we can do more for our patients than ever before, but with so many challenges that face us. It's good to have heroes in the world when you follow, and I always like to try and aspire to be like some people, but there's some you can't get near. One of the big things in medical science has been understanding the shape and the configuration of proteins. Of the 220 million proteins in existence, only about 180,000 had been sequenced using their amino acid sequence and using things like X-ray crystallography to get the shape. One of my colleagues in Cambridge took 8 years to get the shape of one protein, which also did get him quite high awards. And then you get a man, I'll come back to that, called Demis Hassibis. So he was a young man who at the age of 13 was a chess master. Age of 16, he got admitted to Cambridge, but we wouldn't allow him to start because he was too young. So asked him to take a year out, and he went to work for a games company where he designed a game called Theme Park, which went on to sell 18 million copies. And he arrived at Cambridge in his Porsche, only to be told that students aren't allowed to have cars, so to take it home and come back. He actually went back, he got a double first for computational science, went back to do a bit of gaming, wrote 3 or 4 more absolute expert games, selling millions more copies, and then got bored of that, so decided to do a PhD in neurodevelopmental sciences. And he wrote work on amnesia and memory, and Science magazine said that in the last few years, his papers were in the 10 most notable achievements in neuroscience. But that wasn't enough for Demis. He decided he wanted to have a different, he decided to take a look at protein structures. And Demis actually started using AI methodology to examine the things. And you remember that I said that only 170,000 of 200 million proteins have ever been sequenced. He started this in 2018, and by 2020 had sequenced all 200 million proteins. He then put them on a thing called AlphaFold Protein Structure Database, which is a free-to-all database given to the scientific community and to the world. Can you imagine the billions he could have made if he had kept control of that data? He then, more irritatingly, at the age of 48, was awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. A computational scientist winning the Nobel Prize for Chemistry, not a test tube in sight, a reflection of the rewriting of the norms, and a sign of the changes that we are likely to see in our careers and lifetimes. But what does that do for us surgeons? That makes me think of the more simple things. I got called in once to do a placenta accreta, where the placenta, that's where you surgeons, has grown through the wall of the uterus and into the bladder and onto the side wall, and she had lost a lot of blood by the time I got called. And working in a team with the vascular surgeon, the hematologists, and the urologists, we managed to clear the pelvis, save the lady's life after 100 units of blood loss. And remembering that the pregnant uterus has a blood flow of 700 mils a minute. And when I went to see her the next day, she was sitting up in bed, drinking a cup of tea. And there's a pleasure that you get from that sort of care that you can't get anywhere else. What was extraordinary, her husband was a multimillionaire banker, and he got a complete crisis of confidence. He said that he felt that what he did was irrelevant. All he did was move money, whereas what we did actually made a difference to people's lives and saved lives. And he actually ultimately gave up banking and became a teacher and has worked very strongly in the charity sector. You live in a time when you're going to see such massive changes in surgery. What's happening? Immunotherapy, cancer vaccines, GLP-1 agonists. These could change what surgery you do, or more importantly, what surgery you don't do anymore. We can see cancers being treated medically that will not need large surgery to take it out. So keep an eye on all of that, because it's actually a way of making sure that you stay abreast of the changes that are coming. Already AI and computational science are shining a light on surgery. It's so easy now to aggregate data, to look at large volumes, and no longer do you operate in isolation. Your work will increasingly become under scrutiny. You've got things like telemetry. On my robot, the telemetry looking at the movement of the surgeon's hands and the robot's instruments can tell with a 99% accuracy the difference between a novice and an expert. We took 16 doctors, 8 experts, 8 novices, and it identified 7 correctly in each. We then looked at their videos, and the one novice was pretty amazing. And the one expert? You could also see it in a time becoming used for your annual appraisals, where you could sit down at the robot and you do a set of tasks, and the robot will mark you objectively as to how proficient you are on it. So we can see lots of changes. Surgery has a checkered history. The airline industry has a history of safety. They have 0.2 deaths per billion hours of operation. Motorcar has about 0.5 deaths per billion hours, and surgery has 100,000 deaths per billion hours of operation. So there's a lot we need to do. Poor surgery has an impact across the world economically, especially in low and middle income countries. The failure to provide good surgery in low and middle income countries is the equivalent is not providing malaria prophylaxis, not having vaccines for childhood or medication for HIV. So be proud of what you're doing. Your job, doing simple surgery one at a time, is as important as anything else that's going on in the world of medicine. Sadly, in recent years, there have been a number of high-profile scandals that undermine public trust. Theranos, a woman who's going to do 200 tests on a drop of blood. Maccarini, a man who was going to do trachea replacements using stem cells, but when that didn't work, he just put in 3D printed tracheas, and the people died, rather horrific deaths. And vaginal mesh, which you've all read about, which has gone on. Now, sadly, I was very involved with vaginal mesh because that's an area I've done a lot of research in, and predicted in 1996 that this was not going to work well, because we knew from Oxford University in 1968 they'd put the mesh in then, and it hadn't been a success. Okay. Anyway, it's all got, you've heard where it landed up and so on. And the Cumberledge Commission, Baroness Cumberledge, did a commission looking into what went wrong. And certainly there was fault. There was fault by doctors, by companies making the wrong measures, not doing the right research, putting them in. However, they were also sad to find out in the commission that there were surgeons putting in mesh, in the wrong patients, they themselves not properly trained, for financial and non-pecuniary reasons. And the recommendation of the Cumberledge Commission was that this should stop, and declarations of conflict should be more strictly policed. What about your future? Engage with your college. Contribute to the improvements in training and education. Don't moan about the system, but help to improve it. Get involved. I must say, I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed working in the College of Surgeons on our educational platform. They have done a very professional job of bringing in high standards of surgery, which we are now using to head out. We no longer use pigs or cadavers for training. We use VR headsets. We now use plastic mannequins, massively reducing the cost. And we've actually shown that the surgeons trained on plastic mannequins do slightly better than those trained on cadavers. So I believe we're only a very short distance away from being able to train surgeons almost to proficiency without going near a human. And that, to me, would be a fantastic achievement. Do not regard yourself as individual surgeons, but have the ambition to be part of a team. Your standards will be better, your outcomes will improve, and your patients will benefit. Keep a registry of outcomes. Increase the use of real-world data and evidence. Keep an open mind. Be willing to challenge the norm and to seek better and new ways of doing things. Most of all, please remember the most important person in surgery is the patient. In the words of the famous neurosurgeon Henry Marsh, do no harm. If you see wrong, do not be scared to speak out. Silence is deadly to our patients. However, discuss it first with colleagues, examine your motives carefully, and work within the system to manage it. We need to do more to harness bad and dishonest doctors if we are going to avoid some of the scandals I spoke about a minute or two back. We owe it to our patients and society. And the college can help by developing better methods of assessment, review, and rehabilitation. Just yesterday, 2 doctors were jailed in Sweden for dishonesty, so it's a sign of a new time. My company works on a concept called net positive. I expect everybody in the country to contribute not just to the company, but to the society they live in. We encourage our workers to take part with charities, to go to school events, teach children, so that you're giving back to the society which you have achieved so much from. One of the proudest things I am of is starting a group in the RCAG called Supporting Doctors, where we had highly skilled, very well-known senior surgeons who provide a helping hand for doctors in trouble, more for emotional support than for correction. My change of career has given me many blessings. It's been hard work and required massive sacrifices. I thank my wife, Helen, herself a cancer surgeon, for putting up with me and my obsession with robots, and the family too, and the support they've given. One of the most fun and experience and exciting was sponsoring the British Paralympic team. Some of the most inspiring people I've ever met. Massive injuries, disabilities, difficulties. They've ignored the limitations and risen to new heights and serve as an absolute inspiration to the rest of us. One of the things I'm sad about in modern medicine is that our specialties have all grown apart. Now that I'm working with ear, nose and throat, head and neck, with thoracic, with general surgery, colorectal, I meet surgeons from all these different specialties, and it expands my horizon, and I get excited, and it's something I would like to see more of a cross-pollination going into the future. A huge thank you to all the surgeons around the world who have tolerated my hours of questions and been happy to provide advice. I thank specifically Neil Mortensen for that as well, but more especially for his portrait. So I would advise you to go and have a look at that and see in it what I'm speaking about. So in conclusion, you are so lucky to belong to one of the most respected surgical colleges in the world. I travel widely, and one of the things people are most excited about is our accreditation for training with the RCS. Join in and work with your college to improve standards and ensure that excellent patient care is the forefront of what you do. By doing so, you will win back the respect of society and the government, and you'll be able to have influence over developments in training and service, and allow you the opportunity to ensure that your job also still remains interesting, enjoyable, and rewarding. My best of luck to all of you.
Ask Professor Peter Friend, Vice President, to give the vote of thanks to Dr. Slack, please. Peter.
Dr. Slack, thank you very much indeed. You've given us a great deal to think about. You started, of course, by pointing out that qualification as a surgeon is simply a door that opens to all sorts of opportunities, clinical opportunities, research opportunities, and particularly, of course, in your case, business or entrepreneurial opportunities. And I think you've, of course, been wonderfully modest in your own achievements in that regard. You talk about role models. Clearly, you've had some. I like your protein chemist and his Nobel Prize. But above all, I like what you describe, which is that actually it's about altruism. It's not about making large amounts of money. It's about doing something which is worth doing. You've reminded us of the joy of clinical surgery, the sheer fulfillment of doing something to change a patient's life or save a life. And it's more important than anything. It is a unique experience, and one which we are, of course, all privileged to have. You've pointed out, of course, how much the surgical world is changing, the opportunities that this brings as well as the challenges. Of course, you have pointed out the excitement of the medical devices, which are changing not only clinical surgery, but also changing training and assessment. And the idea of bringing objectivity into some of these assessments, of course, is highly desirable. And you've pointed out again, of course, this challenge of surgical safety or medical safety, and just what a hazardous place a hospital is compared to almost anywhere else that we find ourselves, for example, in an aeroplane or a car. You've pointed out this really important issue of surgical science, or rather the harm that poor science can do, and of course the ever-present concern about scientific fraud, and we've seen very high-profile examples of that, to which you've drawn attention, and of course leading to this overarching requirement for governance to keep data, to analyse data, to make sure that we make things better, we change for the future. And we all have to be involved with this. This is not something which other people do for us or to us. And finally, you've concluded by this important mantra, which is that we should always be aware that we should be doing no harm. We have the potential for doing a great deal of good. We also have the potential for doing harm. Thank you for your, I don't know if it's your company mission statement, but giving back to society is, of course, something which fits very well with the surgical ethos. Thank you very much indeed for the words you've spoken.
Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our ceremony. Very shortly, I shall ask you to be upstanding, and the stage party here, together with our VIPs, will process out. And then I hope very much you will come and join us for some refreshments on the other side of the 6th floor here. So please be upstanding if you would. Thank you.